Okay, it's all coming to a head right now. Chapter 12, after all the learning we did, and the class isn't here. But we're going to go ahead anyway. In the last paragraph, now we're applying everything that we've learned to our lives. We've learned that the essence of the soul remains what it is. The essence of the soul is part of God. It doesn't change. It manifests itself on lower levels called neshama, ruach, nefesh. And all these levels have garments which are thought, speech, and action. The conflict in the heart is between the right side of the heart and the left side of the heart, which means between the godly soul, which influences the right side of the heart and inspires it with love of Hashem and fear of Hashem and awe at the beauty of Hashem, and the left side of the heart, which is purely selfish and pleasure-oriented. There's a conflict there. What are you going to do? And in this conflict, and the Beinoni is constant thing. And even if you succeed in a skirmish, let's call it a skirmish, that's to say a certain confrontation, and you recognize the danger and you flee from it, or you trounce it, you overcome it, you push it away, you're victorious. And you think you made it? No, you didn't make it. Because it's going to come back. The Yetzer will come back and say to you, you should really be proud of yourself. You won. So and he starts telling you to be proud. Well, pride is also like idol worship. So it's the whole time. It's the struggle is continuing. Doesn't stop. And the Beinoni is not able to transform his Yetzer Hara into a Yetzer Tov. He can't do that. If he did that, he wouldn't be a Beinoni, he'd be a tzaddik. These are the definitions, the terms that we're working with. And if he fails and he succumbs to the temptations presented to him or to her by the Yetzer Hara, then he's not a Beinoni either. Now he's a Rasha. He's struggling to be good, so he's a Rasha with Toivle. He's a Rasha who has good, most of the time. But sometimes he makes a mistake. Beinoni doesn't make a mistake. Tzaddik doesn't have to struggle. These are the divisions that we're talking about. Now, and this applies even to the realm of thought. In fact, that's where the major struggle takes place, is in the realm of thought. Because thoughts cause you to speak, and speaking causes you to act. Thoughts cause feelings to be in your heart, and feelings cause you to do things. And the Beinoni never lets the thoughts become words or actions. That's the realm that he controls, that the Beinoni controls. In the realm of thought, it's a constant struggle. So turn to page 188. You have your books? There's the books. Page 188. Go on, take a look. That's another struggle he just overcame. So too it matters between ourselves and the people we know. There's two realms. There's things that are between us and other people, and things that are just between us and God. Like if you're going to remember to say a bracha achreina, look in a siddur, that's between you and God. But if you're going to smile and say good morning, that's between you and your friend. It's two areas. Today is Tuesday. No, today's Monday. Today is Monday. Tuesday is a day that Hashem said twice good. He thought it was good that he separated the waters, and he made lakes and rivers and oceans. And then the land appeared and everything grew. So he said again it was good. So he says twice good. So on Tuesday we have twice Hashem said good, which is taken to mean and to explain to us by the sages. That means good for Hashem and good for other people. And Hasidus teaches us we have to look at everything we do to make sure that it's both doubly good for Hashem. It should be what we're doing, what Hashem wants us to do. We're remembering to say a bracha acharena. We don't get up and leave without saying thank you. And it has to be good for our friends that we struggle not to be selfish, but to appreciate our friends and encourage them and do favors for them and so on. So here he says, similarly, the same way that the Beinoni controls his thoughts and his words and his actions in his dealings, the things he does for the sake of Hashem. So now he concludes chapter 12. In dealing with other people. Miyad, as soon as a thought rises up from his heart. Which side of his heart? The left side of his heart, a selfish thought. As soon as a selfish thought rises up, lemoyach, ezatina, and he has a resentment of somebody. Someone gets on his or her nerves. They can't take it anymore. Or ezasina, this person hurt you. This person did something nasty to you. This person spoke against you to other people. This person stole something from you, stole money, or stole your place in line, or stole your seat in 770. And you walked out for a second to get a safe, and you came back and someone else was sitting in your seat. You say, excuse me, I was sitting here. And they said, no, this is my spot. Go find someplace else. You're very angry at them. As soon as that angry thought comes up in your mind, these are the words. I'm not being harsh with you. This is what it says here. As soon as this feeling comes up from your heart into your mind, a resentment or a sin, a hatred, and says, heaven forbid. When that happens, you know that the Yetzer Hara is attacking you. That thought is missiles. They're sending missiles down on Eretz Yisrael. 4,000 missiles. That's what that thought is. It's 4,000 missiles. Oh, you need to have Iron Dome to push it away. And it's not just the Yetzer Hara has a whole load of, there's a technical term for it, a whole store of different missiles that he sends. What are they? Kina, jealousy. Hi, Danny.
Hello.
One missile. Kas is anger, and is another missile. Kapeda, resentment, bearing a grudge. That's another missile. I told you the story last week about the guy who lost all his money because he didn't give a poor man a little bit of snuff. And the Baal Shem Tov told him, he says, how can I ever get my money back? He says, you can't. Unless this same guy will do the same thing to you, what you did to him. And he will deny you the pleasure of a little snuff that he has. And he waited for his chance, and his chance finally came. And the guy was giving out snuff to everybody at the wedding party of his daughter. And the rich man, who now became a poor man, goes over and asks him for a little snuff. And he says, yeah, sure, here. He gives him. That's called good midas. He behaves with kindness to him. And he starts to cry. He says, why are you crying? He says, I can't tell you. And he says, no, you have to tell me. I can't have you crying at my wedding party. And so he tells them the whole story, how he lost everything because he denied him this snuff. And the only way he could get back any portion of his former wealth was if this guy would deny him stuff in return. And you didn't do it. So now I'm doomed to be a poor man. And here the good midah kicks in. Here's the Nefesh Elokis. He says, don't worry, my friend. Look at the big picture. Why do I have money now? Because of you. You denied me a little bit of snuff at your simcha. So your wealth was taken away from you and given to me. So you're the cause of my present well-being. I have to take care of you. Very unusual response. That's how the battle goes. How the Yetzer Tov overcomes the Yetzer Hara. He says, from now on, if you need anything, you need money, you need a place to stay, come to me. I will help you out. You are the cause of my success. How can I turn you away? That's a beautiful story, such a beautiful story. So the Beinoni, if he feels any of these feelings of jealousy or hatred or anger or resentment or bearing a grudge, einem akablan, or anything similar, any self-centered, proud feeling that makes you feel better than the next person, the Beinoni einem akablan klal, he does not accept it. He doesn't allow it into his brains. And certainly not willingly, even if it finds its way in without his being aware. As soon as he is aware of it, he pushes it away. V'adarabba, says the Alter Rebbe, he goes on just the opposite. And here is the central principle. You have to write this down and you have to think of it every single day. When you get up in the morning, you have to think about this. And it has to carry you through the day. You have to think about it periodically over and over and over again. Chanabina, you're going to get married in Mitzvah Hashem very soon. This situation is going to come up a lot. A lot. So in all your preparations for your wedding, you have to remember, Moyer Sholet Al Halev. Your mind has to rule over your heart. You want everything preparing for your chasana should be only good, positive things. You don't want anybody looking with a left eye at you when you are standing under the chuppah. You want only people to think of you and appreciate the nice things you said to them, the smiles that you gave them, the encouraging words that you shared with them. And everyone will give you only blessings for your life. The Adarabba, Hamaya Shalit al Umoishel, the mind rules over the heart, Baruch Shabalibe, over the negative self-centered feelings in your heart. La Seisa Hebet Mamish, which will lead you to behave in the exact opposite way. So that's it, girls. You can't ever say, well, nobody ever told me. Once we read these words, our life has to change. The Alter Rebbe makes it very clear. There's no more room left for selfish feelings. When they came to arrest the Alter Rebbe, he said to his friend and confidant, his chassid, Reb Shmuel Munkus, who was a big joker, but he was a big tzaddik too. He said, what do you think, Reb Shmuel? Should I let them arrest me? But this itself is a very deep thought because Rebbeim are in charge of their own lives. If the Alter Rebbe didn't want to go to jail, they couldn't have taken him. When they took him away in the Black Mariah, in the paddy wagon for criminals of state, was a terrifying thing. And they wanted to keep driving, and the Alter Rebbe asked the man in charge to please stop so they could keep Shabbos. He says, no, we're going to keep on going to the next town. The Rebbe said, we will not arrive in time. He said, well, Rebbe, I'm sorry, but that's what we're going to do. Well, Rabbi probably said, but that's what we're going to do. All of a sudden, the axle broke on the wagon. They couldn't go anywhere. So they had to get a wheelwright, that's what they call the old carpenters who dealt with wagons and things. They had to fix the axle. That took a while. Until they could get the right wood and fix it and put the wagon back together again. So then the wagon was ready to go. Then the horse died. All of a sudden, the horse died. And there was no end of difficulties. And finally, the soldier in charge of arresting the Alter Rebbe said, Rebbe, we can't move. I think you're behind all this. Can we at least go to the next village? He said, no, now you could have gone when I asked you in the first place, but now it's too late. Well, can we pull off the road? He said, yes. All of a sudden, everything worked, and they pulled off the road, and they parked the wagon under a tree by the side of the road, and they had no wine for Kiddush, and no challah, and no cholent, but that's where they spent Shabbos. And people who have been there, the tradition knew which tree it was, that tree was a lone tree that flourished in the wilderness. But the lesson from it is that they couldn't take the Rebbe if he didn't agree on his own. He himself had to consent. Because the mind rules over the heart. And in case of a Rebbe, the mind rules over everything. So he asked Reb Shmuel, should I let them take me to prison? Like it was up to him. And Shmuel said, yes, you should. Rabbi Shmuel Munka said, yes, you should let them take you to prison. He said, why? Why do you say that? Why was he charged? He was charged with false, made-up charges of treason against the Tsar by people who resented the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. They wanted to silence the spreading of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. And the foremost proponent of these teachings was the Alter Rebbe. They wanted to put him out of action. Just like more recently, they tried to put the Friediger Rebbe out of action. They wanted to kill him. They threatened to kill him. They wrote down that they applied to the death sentence, but then they commuted it and so on. Exiled, and they commuted that too. So he said, should I let them do this? And it implies that all of these things were in the control of the Rebbe to allow them to happen or not to allow them to happen. So Reb Shmuel said, yes, you should let them do it. Why? He said, why? Why should I do it? He says, because if you are a Rebbe, they can't do anything to you. A statement which is called into question by the fact that they did torture the previous Rebbe. And they hurt him very badly. He had pain for years because of what they did to him, and he was crippled by it. He says, if they're a Rebbe, if you are a Rebbe, they can't do anything to you. And if you're not a Rebbe, who gave you the right to take away from us all our pleasure from the physical world, from this material world? And that's what it says here. His mind will prevail over and dominate the feelings of his heart. What are the feelings of his heart? The feelings on which side of his heart? The left side of his heart. And what are the feelings on the left side of his heart? Pleasure-seeking feelings. The desire to indulge himself in pleasures. And the Alter Rebbe teaches us that this is what we have to do. If we want to be Jewish, in the true sense of the word, our mind has to dominate the feelings in our heart. Moyach shalit al halev. To do the exact opposite of what the heart desires. So that's what Reb Shmuel said. If you're not a Rebbe, who gave you the right to throw this on us? To take away all our pleasures of the physical world. And if you think, girls, that it's not going to be that way, well, I'm sorry to say, now you know the truth. And as much as you might want to try to forget about it, it's not going to go away. But enjoying the physical pleasures of the world is a contradiction to the service of God. Either you're serving the godly soul and doing what Hashem wants, enjoying the pleasures of the world but for Hashem's sake, or you're just serving the idol in your left side of your heart, the strange God within you. That's what it's called, the strange God within you. So the Beinoni is going to do the exact opposite of what his left side of his heart tells him to do. There were times when Hasidim did not have access to communicate with the Rebbe, and they had big questions, big problems, how they should behave. So what would they do? They would go over to somebody who they knew was a very selfish person, and they would ask him, what does he think you should do in such and such a situation? And whatever this selfish person would say, then they would do the opposite. They would do the opposite. And that's what it says the Beinoni does. When he has these selfish feelings rising up in his heart, he suppresses them. Modern psychology says suppressing your feelings is a bad thing. It's going to give you ulcers. It's going to make you sick. And well, it's not true. On the contrary, it's going to make you healthy. And indulging yourself in every whim and every fancy that you have, that's what's going to make you sick. Because that's behind the drug culture and alcoholism and all kinds of sexual perversion. So what does a Beinoni do? He's feeling resentment, jealousy, anger, bearing a grudge. He does the opposite. He's going to behave kindly. He's going to do a favor for this person who bothers him so much. Instead of letting them have it, and giving them a good piece of your mind, which is really not a good piece of your mind, it's a bad piece of your mind, right? Instead of bawling them out, screaming at them, or even quietly screaming at them, the Beinoni is going to say something nice. So here's a challenge for you. This is not an easy one. You know, there are a lot of challenges. You got to daven. It takes so long to say brachos. It takes so long to daven. It takes so long to say birkas hamazon. When I was learning how to keep the laws of the Torah, I came to my first teacher. Oh, Miriam is there, and Shelley is there, and Danny is there, and this is
Chaya Malka.
Chaya Malka, welcome. So I came, my teacher was my time. I wasn't even living in the community yet. I was just visiting for a Shabbos. Mostly the guy who schlepped me in invited me to come to his house, Motzi Shabbos. So I went to his house. His wife had just had a baby. So he gave me a plate of something to eat. I think it was, hi, Danny, some eggs, scrambled eggs. And Toam, yeah, yay. The swallows are coming back to Capistrano. And he gave me something to eat. And he went to the next room to do the Shabbos dishes. And I since I had washed, so then I benched. I was very proud that I had taken a to say birkas hamazon. Took me a long time. And I worked my way through it word by word. And I finished. I was very proud of myself that I'd done that. He came back and he said, oh, you finished benching. I said, yeah, I just finished. He said, hello. He said, don't miss this line. He said, if everybody took so long to bench as you did, nobody would eat. I was crushed. So the Beinoni is going to conduct himself with kindness towards the next person, despite his resentment, hatred, anger, and desire to pay back, or the grudge that he's bearing in his heart. Page 189. This is quoting from the Ethics of the Fathers. This is not just the Alter Rebbe. This goes back thousands of years. The Talmud teaches us this is how a person has to try to behave. When somebody gets on your nerves and offends you and hurts you, person does you wrong, you don't pay back. But you behave to them with kindness. So when you see that person who did you wrong next time, you fulfill another teaching of the sages, having Makabel call Adam B'Sefer Panim Yofes. You have to greet everybody you meet with a smiling countenance. You force a smile until it becomes a real one. Don't give me that forced smile. Give me a real one. That's called working on yourself. That's how you refine your character. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen by itself. I'm telling you. This requires planning. You have to plan ahead. That the next time I see this person, I'm going to greet them with a friendly smile. Good morning. How are you this morning? And they don't answer you. You get all upset all over again. Okay, we're going to try better next time. You get it? Nobody's going to be able to hear. Okay, we'll have to yell louder. And he's going to display an extra measure of warmth and affection for this person who is his enemy, who behaves to him like an enemy. You see? It's not a Christian idea after all. And this person is going to torment him and abuse him or her and disrespect them over and over and over and over, and we're going to put up with it. And they're going to reply, I could say, to the nth degree. To the nth degree, this person is tormenting you and you can't take it. I mean, this goes on in families, right? Between sisters, the older sister and the younger sister, the older brother and the younger sister. The older one torments the younger one until they can't take it. Sometimes it goes on for years and years and years. So they're in their 70s and their 80s. I have a friend, he's in his 70s. He complains to me, his older sister is in her 80s, and she torments him. She treats him like he's 6 years old. But the person, the Beinoni, will not get angry, will not allow himself to reply in anger. Nobody gave you a contract. The Rebbe said to somebody, I don't think anybody ever signed a contract with you that it was going to be easy. And more than that, because to speak in anger, girls, you know what the sages say about speaking in anger? We learned it in chapter 1. Anger is idol worship. Why is anger idol worship? Why? When you get angry, you speak in anger to somebody, you could get down on your hands and knees and bow down. Do you know in the times when the base of Mikdash was standing, if a person got angry at Hashem, you could take a brick, put the brick down and bow down to it and pray to the brick, just to show Hashem how angry he was. The person did that and started a whole religion. The Beinoni will not allow himself to be provoked to anger. Because anger denies God. Anger is called idol worship because anger is as if you're saying that this situation was not created by Hashem Yisbarach. That there's two realms. There's the realm that God controls, that's all good. And then there's this realm where there are negative forces that are tormenting me in my life. And I'm angry at them. That's called idol worship. There's not two realms. There's only one God. Hear, O Israel, God is our God. God is one God, not two gods, not a good God and a bad God. That's idol worship. So the Beinoni will not allow himself to get angry because that is idol worship. Anger or pride or lust or envy or jealousy or sloth. These are all forms of idol worship. And he will not take revenge. Not only won't get angry, he hold his anger in. You want to know what revenge is? Edgar Allan Poe. Go to the library, get a book of Edgar Allan Poe. Read the story called Cask of Amontillado. You read it? No. Unbelievable story. Edgar Allan Poe was a madman. Madman. He nurtured hatred in his heart for years of his enemies. He wrote a story about how to pay back your enemy, how to take revenge. William Faulkner from the South of America wrote a book. The Sound and the Fury, I think it's called. Well, it's a long time ago since when I read it when I was in college. About a guy who spent 25 years in jail planning. He broke out, he got released, he was rearrested. Finally, he came back to the guy who had caused him to be put in jail in the first place and shot him dead. He got his revenge in the end. He doesn't do that. That's idol worship. He will not take revenge. Remember we spoke last day about the difference between taking revenge and bearing a grudge. Taking revenge is, I'm not going to give you this. You didn't give me, I'm not going to give you. When I needed a loan, you turned me away. Now you're asking me for a loan? Okay, Pfeiffer, go somewhere else. That's taking revenge. What's bearing a grudge? You wouldn't give me a loan when I needed it, the son of a gun. You need money now? The shoe's on the other foot. Of course I'll give you. I'm not like you. That's bearing a grudge. Giving the loan is a mitzvah, but bearing a grudge is a transgression of the Torah, just like murder. Okay, so even though this person torments him to the nth degree, he will not lose his temper. The Beinoni will not lose them. He's not a tzaddik, remember. He's not a tzaddik. He's a Beinoni. There's a person once came, they told him Hillel, you know, the famous Hillel. Hillel is the famous righteous person that he wanted to learn Torah so badly, and he had no money. He used to go chop wood and sell the wood, and if he earned 2 pennies, he'd give one to his wife to buy a little milk or something, and with the other penny, he'd go to pay the doorman at the yeshiva so he could go in and learn. And one time, he only had 1 penny, he gave it to his wife. They wouldn't let him in. They wouldn't let him into the yeshiva. He went up onto the roof because there was a skylight, and the window could be opened a little bit. He could hear the teachings of Shmaya Avtalion, were the teachers of the generation. In the first chapter, Pirkei Avos, Ethics of the Fathers, we read about them. To listen to the shir, and it was snowing, and he collapsed. He was hungry, he was cold, and he passed out on the skylight. And evening came on, and the teachers noticed that it's dark in the yeshiva. Why is it dark? It shouldn't be dark yet. And they went up on the roof and they found him sleeping, unconscious. That's Hillel. Famous Hillel. All the Hillel houses are named after him. Hillel is the one, when the non-Jew came and said, teach me the whole Torah while I stand on 1 foot. He came to Shammai, who was a great teacher at the same time as Hillel, a fellow student with Hillel, and he said, get out of here. He took our ruler and he chased him away. Chutzpah. The Torah is as deep as the sea and you want to learn it on 1 foot? Go get lost. He had a life. So he came back to Hillel, and he had said the same thing. Can you teach me the whole Torah? I want to be Jewish. Can you teach me the whole Torah while I stand on one foot? Hillel said, sure. If you don't like something, don't do it to somebody else. Now go learn. Everything else is, it's not easy to do that, my friend. It's not easy. And to get to that level, you're going to have to learn a lot. Now go learn. That was Hillel. So there was a certain person came, and they told me, Hillel, he never gets angry. He never, ever gets angry. He was a tzaddik. He was a big tzaddik. He was a great tzaddik. An outstanding tzaddik. He taught us that we should be like the students. We should be students of Aaron, to love peace and pursue peace. And no matter how low a person is, just like a creature, to bring him up to the Torah. Hillel is a great teacher of Ahavas Yisrael. So they said to this guy, Hillel, he's such a righteous person, nobody could ever get him angry. He says, I'll get him angry. Believe me, I'll get him angry. He went and asked him some stupid question. I forget what it is. Why do the people from here have big feet? And he got him up in the middle of the night and asked him this question, why do they have big feet? So he said, because they live in swampy area, they need the big feet. It helps them to walk in the wet area, in the wet. So he went away. He thought he'd get him angry by asking stupid questions. So he came back, asked him another stupid question, went back to sleep, woke him up again. Do you like when people wake you up when you're trying to sleep? So every time you go to sleep, this guy would come and wake him up and ask him another dumb question. Why do black sheep walk in front of white sheep? He gave him an answer. He says, because that's the order of creation. First Hashem, it was evening, and it was morning, it was one day. First it was dark, and Hashem said, let there be light. So the black sheep go in front of the white sheep. He went back to sleep. And he came back with another dumb question. And again, he said, oh, Hillel, you make me so angry. He said, why did I make you angry? What did I do? He said, because you answered all my questions. Because of you, I lost $1,000. Because I had a bet that I could make you angry. And he said, you should lose $1,000, and you should lose 1,000 times $1,000, and Hillel should never get angry. Because getting angry is serving an idol. And a Beinoni doesn't get angry. And he's still not Hillel. He's still not a tzaddik. He's only a Beinoni. The Beinoni, when the Beinoni has the thought of anger that rises up from his heart into his head, because the shekel macher didn't make the shekel right, and I got to get married tomorrow. Beinoni doesn't get angry. On the contrary, he doesn't scream or yell, and he doesn't deny a loan to the person who wouldn't give him a loan. Like we learned in the Zohar, last line of chapter 12. What greater example could there be than the example of Joseph, with his brothers, and his brothers tried to kill him? They threw him into a pit with snakes and scorpions, which bite and kill. And they sold him as a slave, and he suffered in slavery 13 years before he became the viceroy, the king of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. And when they fell under his power, and he could take revenge, what did he do? He treated them with kindness. He fed them, he took care of them, and repaid their bad deeds with love and with kindness. So the Zohar says we have to learn from Joseph. You see, Joseph is one of the people attributed to being one of the founders of Judaism. We have three fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And they're called fathers of the Jewish people because we get their wonderful qualities from them. And Joseph also, we get something from Joseph that we don't get from any of them. And what is that? It's a quality the Christians want to claim that they invented it, but they didn't. It's the quality of forgiveness. And that became planted in the heart of a Jewish person from Yosef. And if this quality is missing, we have to look into their lineage. Maybe something there isn't exactly Jewish. Thank you very, very much, girls. We'll have one more class tomorrow.
Rabbi, can you repeat which quality?
Here, in great detail, the first 12 chapters of the Tanya. This is the least we ever learned in this class, ever in all the years that I'm teaching it. Usually we learn 21 chapters. When Rabbi Majeski asked me last day, how far did we go? I said 12 chapters. He said, what? He was really surprised. But we learned them in depth, in great depth, with many, many stories and examples. You should know the 12 chapters correspond to the 12 tribes of Israel and to the 12 hours of the day and the 12 permutations and combinations of the 4 letters of the name of God. Thank you very much, girls. See you tomorrow for our concluding class.